Alright. Welcome guys to another little Unity tutorial. Now this is going to be kind of a little bit of cleanup video, and I think it kind of deserves to be its own little segment because it's going to be kind of small, and the reason is because I want to separate some code so that we can use it in other parts, because I want to be able to sell things and stuff like that. So we're going to have to refactor a little bit of code in order to do that. Now, a lot of it is going to be, here's the editor, and we're still running this, but it's in our menu, and that's fine. We're instantiating this at runtime. So this menu inventory, this is its own little code, and it works perfectly fine, right? And I want to separate the functionality that we have for getting the buttons and doing all that. So we have to look at this, okay? In this for loop, we're going through the entire array, seeing if we own the inventory weapon. If it's true, then if it's in the game, then we instantiate it, and when we get to this line, we parent it. Well, all this stuff actually happens right here. Okay, all the logic really happens right here, but it's in this class and it's private as well. This is also private. So really, how can we segment this stuff so it will actually be really nice to use? And I have this inventory utility function where it does this. It's a nice little call. It's pretty much this with a few changes. And I'll explain why I want to make these changes. I want to be able to use this code right here someplace else. And later, we might make a function down here that is public void, not public void, but public inventory equipment array get items. Okay? And we can go return inventory. Okay. Now this won't make a new inventory, but it gives us access to return it. Okay, and then manipulate it in another script, which is the same thing as making it private. But I keep this, I like it this way, because when I go to look up the function call, it makes it a little bit more explicit, or a little, it's kind of a cleaner way than just making this public and directly manipulating it. I want to get this variable and manipulate it into the script that it needs to be, instead of going find menu dot inventory dot blah dot. No, I don't want to do that. No. None whatsoever. Now this inventory utility is a class, okay? And its set button is a function. We pass it the array and we pass it the parent. It pretty much, it does exactly what this does, except you've already been doing something like this anyway. And it's just like you doing vector3 g equals new vector3, okay? And then there's the other versions, that's g dot local dot, G equals vector3 dot 0, right? Or up, or left, or right. And all it does is take our vector3 and go with it, okay? This is a constant field for this vector3. It returns the shorthand of 0, 0, 0, okay? That's all it does. It's a constant that's in the class that does things. Now, if we go into here and we look, we can go seek definition, and it brings this up. And this is accessible by anything. This is the metadata, okay? And we can look at the stuff. Now, this is a constant get, okay? Back, down, forward, okay? Property, magnitudes of float, okay? But if you go down here, you should see not smooth damp. I don't want the operators. Vector3 creates new vector3 for blah. Blah. Okay. Back. Here's basically what I was talking about right here. These are shortly written vectors. Okay. But these are get properties. And the reason is because it's going through an internal reflection from a DLL. Okay. I wish it would show, but I bet it's not going to. Lerp magnitude, and that's a shame. I don't think it, vector3.1, and this is a get, because this is coming from the Unity engine itself, the DLL. Let's be marshaled across, so we're not going to be able to see that, which is a shame. And I was pretty sure that we would be able to see it, but, you know, that's just, I guess, the way it works in there. Now, the good example of this is an attribute, they want you to use something else. And this is an easy way of doing that. When I tried to use project, it returns the given vector exactly equal to this vector. Projects the dot product. Literally interpolates between two vectors. What? Oh, it's above it. Okay. So if we want to use this, yeah, orthographic. That's a max range radians, and then max magnitude delta. I didn't think it used delta. Huh. Guess you learn something new every day. But that's okay. But you get the point. And then we got operators. Okay, operators are really nice because it tells the system how to deal with certain things. Like from one vector to the next. Bool. Okay. Oh, here's one. A constant public float. Okay, and that's, I believe, if the vector is like really, really, really high or something, this is what it will show in all the floats. But yeah, the whole point of it is so we can get something that's a lot nicer to work with. Okay, and that's where our little classes come into play. Now this is just a regular class, and I called this inventory utility. Okay, Now this is a public static set button inventory button, which means anybody who has access to this class, okay, has access to this, which in this regard, what I would do is I would go with the namespace, okay, for this, because I don't want too many classes dealing with this, okay? So we're going to do namespace, and we're going to do inventory dot, what could we call this? Menu run, let's say menu run or menu runner. Okay, so this will go ape crazy. Now we can have this resolve this by doing this. Okay, now when I'm in other scripts, I won't have access to this unless I have this namespace, which is kind of nice because the sensory thing, when I start working with a lot of this stuff, it becomes, hey, inventory this, inventory that, and it just becomes a cluttered mess, like a cluttered mess, because you got so many to choose from. What do they do? And, you know, I know what they do. It's just, if I can tell my telesense thing, my auto thing that pops up on the screen and goes, hey, do you want this variable, this. If I could shorten that up, then that means a lot less time thinking and go, oh, no, yes, no, yes, no. Yeah, I get out of doing a whole bunch of that. So if we do this set, we're doing the same functionality right here. The only difference is game object has to be put here, dot instantiate. Because game object is part of, it's because this isn't a mono behavior. Okay, that's the reason why it's a pure class. So we got to go in to the game object class that we have access to from the Unity engine and go forward with it. Okay. Now, if this was a mono behavior, we would have to pass this functionality one. Okay. But since we don't have this right here, the mono behavior, it requires us to do GameObject.instantiate. Very important. It does mean we always have to be in the Unity engine, but we're using a game object and creating, and it's just the same way. I mean, literally. And all the other stuff works as the same way that it did before, except this button thing. Now, a lot of you will be like, well, you could instantiate something and pass in a parent anyway. I don't want this to be parented right off the bat, because A, we have issues when we parent something to a menu. A lot of times the scaling and other stuff like that can get messed up. So we need more functionality than just passing in a parent and parenting it. We need this. Now I put this as a public static, so any class can call this up. Any class can call this up. Not a problem. We do not care that it's doing that. We pass in a parent, which is a little bit different than what we were doing. It used to be up here. I cut it and put it in the utility class. Because what this does is just, hey, it takes the game object that we want to parent it to. We go from, hey, this is the game object that it is, and we parent it somewhere. So to parent, transform.setParent, and then this the rotation, which we shouldn't probably have this call, but for some reason I decided to keep it here. I don't know why. There's probably a reason to my madness. I just don't know why right now. And then scale. Vector 3.1. Okay? Make sure you don't put 0 here because I did and then you can't see it. You'll be like, what the heck? But 1, 0 for the position because all of our buttons are on layout groups. Okay? So I don't need the positioner or anything like that. It's going to do that for me. And I think that should be an inventory utility like thing because this does all the stuff for instantiating it. Okay, it does this, and I always felt that it was kind of clunky to have it here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this code all right here. Okay, now look, our update thing just became a lot smaller. Okay, and it's very easy to go, hey, this is what's going on here. And you're probably thinking, well, that's kind of nice, but you're still got it here. When it's here, I'll be able to access it anywhere. And I want to explicitly be able to access it anywhere. So I'm going to make sure this is a public class. Not static. I don't think it would care if I put this as a strut. Would it? Instead of a class? I don't think it will. A strut, it instantiates a little different. Yeah, I don't think it would care if we had this as strut. Actually, no. I'm going to keep it a class because a class is a reference thing anyway. That's basically what it's designed for and stuff like that. So we'll keep it a class. I'll just make sure it's public. That way all I got to do is do this. Because now, since this is public and this is its own things, I can also use this in a marketing menu. So I've just decoupled this code from being only usable in this class to usable anywhere else. And it's static, so all I have to do is just keep going for it. It requires an inventory, which later on, well, no. Well, no, yeah, we can call it menu inventory and have a reference to this anywhere else. We'll just have it referenced, maybe in the enable, or no, we can do this in a start. We can do a start, a void start, and what this will do is pass the reference into a container for later if needed here. Basically, it'd be like, hey, this stuff right here just be whatever it needs to, or be in reverse. This right here, the values come from this start menu, and then on enable, every time it's enabled, it will update the menu. Even if this executes before this, which I believe it does, it doesn't matter, because once this runs, it'll pass in all the values that it needs anyway. The enable function isn't going to hurt it at all. because all it does is call the update thing. Hey, update this stuff. Not a big deal. Not a big deal whatsoever. Because start only works one time, and that's when you can pass in like all the values that's needed right here, and from some type of saving or whatever. This is a good point right here when you go to a game to get save information anyway. And I hope that makes sense. Okay? I really do, because I hopefully don't want to ever explain that ever again, because it could get complicated. And that's pretty much it. That's the changes that I made into here. And I hope you guys did understand it. Let me know in the comments and stuff like that if you did not, because I know sometimes I get a little fast and a little talky, you know, a little much. But I hope the changes will help us later. I know they will help us later on, but I hope it opens your eyes to a utility-like class, because these are very useful. And we'll be using these a lot more later on. So maybe later on, if there's too many questions about this, I am going to, well, it depends. Let me know in the comments if this is a little bit of a complicated subject, because I'll find a simplified version of it and then just release it in the item description. Not in this video, but I'll make another video where we just straight up just put buttons on a menu and have this kind of functions in it. Okay, if that makes sense. Basically, I'll do a stripped down version that can be generically anywhere else that's not tailored to this game. Okay, it'll be tailored to nothing, pretty much nothing. Okay. So this is War. Hope you like. If you don't, there's that dislike button. You want to smash that subscribe button, you go right on ahead, guys, and let YouTube know, hey, we are competitors. We will be listened to, and we are an army of marvelous people. Marvelous. So this is War. Over and out, and see you later, guys, and take care. Peace out, everybody.